Okay, so I just want to do post analysis for a bullish rotation trade I took on the NASDAQ this week. For me, it's a little bit harder to do pre-analysis for NASDAQ setups given the speed at which they occur and how the market updates information for us in real time. But the post analysis is very fair and easy to go through. So let's give it a shot. So what we had here was a bearish pre-market lean. As you could see here, bears were in control. They were willing to carry risk heading into the session. No questions. Micro VWAP was below here. So we said, okay, market had a bearish lean. Immediately, the bulls closed above that, closed above the pre-auction ceiling here, and revoked that authority, right? So now we're dealing with a bearish stress test. Okay. So what's happening? Will the bears create a defensive distribution here? Will it be a conditional yield? Will it be a stalemate? What's going to happen? So, as we could see here, as micro VWAP starts edging and edging above, we could see that micro VWAP also closes above both ceiling and macro VWAP, which specifically is at this arrow here on the 1 minute, right? That red arrow. So that's a conditional yield. So at that point, we say, okay, the question is then, are are we going to get rotate? Are we going to get inventory migration? Is prices going to rotate? Are they going to be accepted? What's going to happen? And so the 1 minute cannot make that argument for us. Only the 5 minute can. That's the authority, state and futures. Whereas the 1 minute will become the execution. So as you could see here in the sequence, if we use the replay feature, we could see that prices engage with the macro VWAP, but we didn't get any information. Will this be non-acceptance? Is this acceptance? So we have to allow time to, that's not a rejection or anything. 5 minute then closes back lower and we say, okay, again, we're still gathering information. Is it going to be acceptance? Is it going to be failed acceptance? So then we see here the 5 minute closes above and we say, okay, so this didn't give us any information, but this did. So we got failed acceptance. So at this point in time, the only thing that we're leaning towards is rotation. And so after that, we mark the zones, the boundary, the rotation boundary from the lowest 5 minute close to the lowest wicks. And then we just go into the 1 minute. And by going into the 1 minute, we could say, okay, we want prices to come back into that zone. And then we look, so we want the follow through back into that zone to see if the bears gain acceptance, right? Or if the bulls are going to validate our bullish thesis and hold. So as prices comes back into the zone, right there, we're looking for two candle rejections of that zone. That's one. No, we close lower. So it resets again. Right. Okay, that's one. And the bulls came in super, super aggressive, taking out not just that zone, but this zone as well. So then we have a choice. Do you want to wait for the markets to come back to this zone? Do you believe it can come back to this zone? What do you believe? Well, I took the entries here, even though I didn't like my distance to target because the target is 1 5 minute close above the intraday high. So I'm going to bring back in the 5 minutes and let's take a look at it. This was a super aggressive push, but sometimes in these intraday setups, we can only get, I'm hoping to get like at least a 0.7R on that. And so as we watch it, does price even come back to that zone or does it just take off? Right. So we came close, but we didn't come that closer. We came here, we gathered a little bit of that zone. And then we pushed higher. It stalled around for a bit, but this is the read. We were dealing with a rotation entry, bullish rotation. All right. And that is where the 5 minute closed. Um, right there at that candle. So 0.7 ish R, give or take, starts below the lowest close of the rotation zone. Um, the only areas where I see maybe we could extracted more profit if I was just, if let's say, how comfortable would I feel if prices maybe re-engaging here on that bullish push? That's a tough one in real time. Maybe you could have squeezed out some more profit in a scenario like that. Maybe took it, pushing it almost as high as 1-1. If we got that, that would have been excellent. Um, when we look at the amount of zones that we took out, right? So let's see if we have that discipline here moving forward next time. We say, okay, we don't know if we can get to that zone, but we'd at least like it to get here before the bear stepped in. Maybe we would be fortunate enough to get that again. Um, that would be my refinement here, but the targeting is fine. And why that targeting is fine and the execution of the read was fine because this is the market only didn't really go much further than that afterwards, right? Where it struggled to go higher, came back, right? Even though it was a rotation, right? We're not trading that. It's just noise. So we see what it did for the rest of the session. 12 o'clock, barely breaking above that. So the only refinement I would look at is maybe the patience to say when it's super aggressive like that and it takes out the rotation zone that we're dealing with, because this is where the rotation happened, right? If we see the market take out the rotation zone and the zone before even higher than that rotation zone, then perhaps we could look at the possibility of saying, okay, I don't want that, but at least give me this. You know what I mean? That's what I would look at moving forward. So if the rotation zone is completely taken out, then we look at the next price zone. We say, okay, well, let's gauge this. So we'll update it and move on from this. Thanks. And this was Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Thank you.